is Wednesday, my dudes, and time for an old man yapping. Now, I had somebody show up on the Discord server earlier this week. And when they showed up, they had 3 basic questions, okay? And those 3 basic questions were, number 1, how do I get out of tutorial hell? Number 2, how do I solve problems myself instead of looking up tutorials? And number 3, how can I compete with ChatGPT? So I'm going to deal with these in kind of reverse order. Number 1, you're not competing with these generative algorithm machines, what I call the garbage farting machine. You're not competing with them. You're competing with the person who operates them. And the person who operates them is weak and stupid. Okay? Here's how that works. Let's say that what you need is a quicksort algorithm. If you're strong and smart at programming, if this is the thing you do, if this is your job, you go, oh, the quicksort algorithm, well, that's in the standard C library. It's called qsort. All I have to do is write a comparison function. I can do that in 10 minutes. But maybe you don't know that. Maybe you're too dumb to know that. That's the point where you go, oh, a quicksort algorithm, I'm sure somebody has already written this and I can just look it up. Even if they don't have code for it, I can find a description of the algorithm and I can write one myself. And there you go. That's the solution to your problem. But if you're weak and stupid, you're going to go, I better ask the garbage farting machine. And you go and ask the machine, hey, give me a quicksort algorithm. And it goes, pfft. And then there's a quicksort algorithm. There's all this code on your screen. But because you're stupid, you can't tell whether that's a working quicksort. And because you're weak, you can't tell whether it's any good. So you're going to end up sending that off to somebody else for code review. And unfortunately, we live in a world where lots of people are weak and stupid. So a lot of people are going to pull up your code review and go, I have no fucking clue what I'm looking at. I don't feel like it. I'm about to go to lunch. I just had a beer, whatever. They just go, looks good to me, and they pass it along. Now, this is why you have all of these fucking people that you pass all your shit through in a company, okay? Given enough eyes, all bugs are shallow. Given enough hands, all loads are light, okay? But if that code that came out of the garbage farting machine actually makes its way to a customer or a client, chances are very good it doesn't work because nobody's really tested it. And when they come to you and they say, hey, it's broken, it doesn't work, nobody is going to know how to fix it. And you're going to be fucked. The guy using the machine sucks at his fucking job. You can tell because he used the machine instead of going, quicksort? I haven't done quicksort since I was in university. He didn't jump in and go, oh, right, I get to write quicksort again. I haven't done this in forever. He didn't even go, hey, I'll bet somebody else out there has done the fastest possible quicksort. I'll bet somebody out there has done a really, really great job on this already, and I can just go grab their code and use it. Hey, I'll bet the guy who wrote the fastest possible quicksort is the guy whose code they used in the C standard library. A smart person would do one of those. If you were good at your job, you would do one of those. And it's going to be better than whatever the fucking machine does, because the machine does have a statistical chance of pulling out the best possible algorithm for quicksort. But because you know what you're looking for, because you know what quicksort looks like, because you know what makes quicksort good or bad, you have a statistically higher chance of finding it. You can always do a better job than the machine. The machine's just, I mean, fundamentally, the garbage farting machine is a waste of time. I ran into the same thing with Stable Diffusion. For the last 6 years, I've been concentrating primarily on my art, okay? And because I've been concentrating primarily on my art, is my camera not focusing right? There we go. So, because I've been focusing primarily on my art, what I did was I pulled out Stable Diffusion and I ran it and I went, let's see what this generative algorithmic horse shit actually looks like. And up came a picture and I went, I don't look right. I don't, that's fucked up. I don't like that at all. And after a couple of more months, I started to understand why. I started to look at the pictures that the garbage farting machine puked out. And I went, oh, well, now that I know more about human anatomy, the human leg doesn't have that muscle in it. That muscle doesn't exist. That's not real. That's not a thing. And a couple of months later, I was going, these shadows are in all the wrong places. We've got the left arm is casting a shadow on the body, and the right arm is also casting a shadow on the body. But the face is lit from the front and below, and there's a shadow under the boobs. That doesn't make sense. That's not how light works. That's not how shadows work. That's not how fabric falls. That's not how hair falls. That's not how shoes look. It's just one thing after another after another. The more I worked on my art, the more I learned about art, the more I looked at what the garbage farting machine was throwing out into the world and going, that's bullshit. It sucks. It's horrible. It's anybody who knows what they're doing can look at this art and go, that's bad. That's a bad picture. It's done a bad job. And all of these people that don't fucking know what they're talking about are sitting there going, you're just jealous because you have to work so hard. No, not only do I have to work so hard, but the work I do doesn't even look that good. But that's fucked up. That's wrong. That's not good. I know what good art looks like. That's not it. They fucked everything up. My taste may exceed my ability, but I still have taste. And ChatGPT is the same way. You're not competing with ChatGPT. You're competing with the guy operating it, and the guy operating it is a fucking idiot, so don't worry about it. It's not even an issue. Which leads to the next question. How do you solve your own problems? Because without ChatGPT to write the code for you, how do you solve your own problems? Well, you have to look at a lot of solutions to problems. You can approach a problem and try to solve it yourself. And when you have trouble, you can look for help. You can ask for help. You can try to find a solution that somebody else came up with. That's natural. That's normal. You're going to ask for help. You're going to ask somebody to teach you. You're going to look at the documentation. You're going to try and look it up on the internet. You're always going to do that. You never stop doing that. I continue to do that to this day. I've been programming over 40 years. I still look at the documentation. I had something I was trying to do, and I was like, okay, I've got two vectors. I've got the vector of one object and the vector of another object. I want to know how far away they are. I know how to do that. I just need to implement the vector maths. I just need to take the x coordinates and subtract them in either order. Then I take the y coordinates and I subtract them in either order. Because those two distances form a right triangle. And we all know how to get the length of a right triangle's hypotenuse. It doesn't matter which order I subtract them in, because I'm going to square the results. I square the difference between x coordinates. I square the difference between y coordinates. I add them together. I take the square root. That's the distance between the 2 points. I know how to do that. And it doesn't matter whether they're positive or negative, because when you square it, the positive and negative goes away. You get a positive result every single time. So I know how to do that. And I was doing that, and somehow I fucked it up, and I wasn't getting the right answer. And I opened the documentation, and it turns out Godot's Vector 2 class has a distance 2 function that takes another vector 2. So instead of doing all this maths, all I had to do go if direction dot distance to target. Done. That simple. That easy. Didn't have to fuck with it. Looking it up is how I learned that. And looking it up is always a tool in your toolbox. You should always use that. Once you've looked up enough solutions to enough problems, you get all the solutions to small problems. And you start to understand that when you have a larger problem, well, that's just a series of smaller problems. If you write down the steps, if you just pretend it's magic, if you write down the steps, how would I solve this problem if it were magic? And then you go through and you go, well, how do I do that step? Well, I use these steps to do that step. Now you've got more steps. Eventually you get the steps small enough that you've already seen the solution, or you've already written the solution, or you know the solution is out there and you know how to find it. And that's how you get down to that level. You get granular enough that you know the solution, or you can find the solution, or you can write the solution. You get to the point of solving your own problems by letting other people help you, by learning how to solve problems that other people have solved, looking at their solution and looking at the steps they followed to do it, and understanding this problem and that problem are the same. Like understanding the distance between two vector 2 coordinates, it's always a right triangle. And then understanding that, what if you wanted the distance between two vector 3s? Well, once you get the distance between the x and y coordinates, and you get the distance of the hypotenuse, well, that forms a right triangle with your z coordinate. So you've just got another right triangle. So you iterate over that. And you could skip calculating the hypotenuse because it's x squared plus y squared. Gives you that third, you got your a squared, b squared equals c squared. Now you want c squared plus z squared. Well, you just add them together. You just add them all together. That's all you have to do. You can do that across any number of coordinates. That is, in fact, how vector fields and tensor fields work in the garbage farting machine, to go through that cloud of stuff and figure out where stuff is and how far this concept is from that concept. They work the same way. They just work across dozens or hundreds or thousands of dimensions, which is hard for human beings to visualize, which is why people think the garbage farting machine is magic. They don't understand what it's doing because higher order dimensions are difficult for us to visualize. I can't wrap my head around more than 5 myself. And I used to work in the field. You don't need to wrap your head around that many to understand it. It's not a big deal. It's just more. It's just more of them stacked on top of each other. The concept is still the same. It's still the same thing. Once you understand how to stack 3-dimensional objects to make a 4-dimensional object, and how to stack 4-dimensional objects to make a 5-dimensional object, the concept is generalizable to any number of dimensions. It can be like 12 dimensions, 50 dimensions, 1,000 dimensions. I know how all the dimensions relate to one another. I don't have to understand what a 100-dimensional object looks like. I don't need to know that. I just understand theoretically, conceptually, what 100 dimensions means compared to 99, compared to 98, compared to 97. And once you get down to 5, then by induction, I understand the whole thing. Basic pre-calculus, not even that difficult. And that brings us back to tutorial hell. If you're always looking stuff up, if you're always looking at the documentation, if you're always looking at tutorials, if you're always asking for help and getting people to teach you, well, what's wrong with tutorials? What is tutorial hell if that's a thing you can get stuck in? When you're stuck in it, what does that mean? What it means is you're in this perpetual state of getting ready to get ready. You never actually finish that. What makes tutorial hell is that you never get anything done. You have to put the tutorials down and actually do the thing. It's actually doing the thing that teaches you how the solution works, why that solves the problem, how these steps solve this problem, how these different problems are similar. It's by going in and doing the thing, by writing the code, not copying and pasting, You are literally, if you look at code on the screen, read it out loud to yourself, and type it manually into your IDE, you will learn more and faster than copying and pasting every single time. Read the code out loud, tell yourself what it does, type it by hand, and you'll learn a buttload more than just looking at it and copying and pasting. Do things. Doing things matters. Writing it longhand matters, funnily enough. If you write something by hand, then you've got the feeling of writing it down. You've got the conceptual process of putting it into words and telling your hand to write it. You see your hand write it. When you say it out loud to yourself, you hear yourself say it, and involving all of your senses in that. And the fact that it's you, that it's your handwriting, it's your notes, it's your voice saying it. The fact that it's you makes you remember it more, because you care more about what you do than anything else in the world. That's just the way human beings are. We're natural solipsists. And that's the important thing. You know, you got to go do things. Even if you're getting all of the code from a tutorial, even if you're copying and pasting, just putting the stuff together into a project and seeing the project work. Seeing it work, being able to modify it and change it and see how your changes alter the way that it works. That's how you really learn. That's how you get to writing your own solutions for your own problems, by understanding how problems are related and how those problems fit together into larger problems, and how decomposing those problems can lead to a big solution from a lot of small solutions. As you do that, you get better and you can work with larger problems. You can work with larger ideas, because it just gets easier and faster every time you do it. And my camera's going out of focus again. Does that all the fucking time. I don't know what the fucking problem is. I should probably warn you guys that I do a video every Wednesday and I do a video every Sunday morning. I have art reference that I've newly acquired. So this Sunday, not going to be so much about code. It's going to be art. Because I understand most people have a channel that is about just one subject. My subject is me doing my shit. So there are going to be times that I'm talking about art and not about code. There are going to be times that I'm working on music and not working on art or code. And the important thing is that I show up and I get my shit done. Because that's really what the Sunday video is about, is me showing up and working on my stuff for at least 20 minutes every single fucking week. You gotta show up. And I've been showing up every fucking week for over 3 years, and I'm gonna keep showing up. But anyway, that's been your old man yapping for this Wednesday. And do a little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. And okay, bye.